It's your daily dose of Donna. Happy Tuesday, September 2nd. Welcome. Do you remember? Oh, it's not the 21st day of September, but it is September. And it feels like fall here in Los Angeles because we just got a crazy rainstorm out of nowhere. Literally the weirdest thing. It is so hot. It's like 95 degrees, muggy. I am in Florida. It is disgusting, but rain and thunder out of nowhere here in Los Angeles. I am wearing my Mommy Sleuth t-shirt, my No Filter with Zach Peter t-shirt for Zach Peter, sending Zach Peter love, so much love for Zach Peter. If you guys aren't following Zach, make sure to send Zach some love today. Zach is going through a little bit of a tough loss. And we need all of the love and prayers for Zach. It kills me to see my friends struggling and hurting. And he could use some virtual hugs. So send him some love. Guys, we have such an exciting show as I shed all over. You know, it's September, so it's like the fall. I'm falling. My hair is falling. I have such an exciting show. Such an exciting show. We have so much to talk about. I have a special guest who I've had on my show before, not for a while, but she is a good dear friend of mine. She's been in the podcast game longer than I think anyone. Truly, not really, but she's been around forever. So I will bring her in just a moment after I say it's your daily dose of Donna. You know her from the long-running, very, very successful and popular top podcast Reality Life with Kate Casey. It is on every day, 5 days, 6 days, 17 days a week. Reality Life with Kate Casey. You have 20,000,500 people in your Facebook group. Kate Casey, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I love seeing you. It's kind of fun to see those old videos, like your hair, the different lengths.
My hair is different. My background's different. My body looks different. Like, it's weird. I need to update that video.
No, I like it. I like it.
Kate, what's going on? What deep diving are you doing today? I feel like you always have your finger on the pulse.
Finger on the pulse. Well, right now I'm deep into writing my episode about the unknown number, the catfish story.
That's on my list of things. We're going to talk about this today.
Oh my God. That one I'm deep into. And then there's another one. There was a TLC documentary a couple years ago called Taken at Birth. And there were a bunch of children that were illegally adopted. And I'm going to interview the woman who is kind of like spearheading the campaign to find out what happened with the doctor and to help the adoptees get information. So I don't know. I'm always in a deep dive. And then lastly, the Adelson trial. I'm really deep still into that.
Okay. So you just had a podcast episode last week with an attorney talking about the Adelson trial.
Yes. It was Friday's episode and it goes through the background. If someone wants to go and listen to it, it's on YouTube as well. Reality Life with Kate Casey, but you can check out the episode. I go through the timeline and then I ask this attorney based in Tallahassee about the conspiracy charges, whether or not he thinks Wendy will end up being arrested, the prosecution strategy, the defense strategy. So it kind of goes into all of that. That story first premiered on a 2020 on September 17th, 2016.
That's crazy how long this has been going on.
I know. I think that was the first day of my podcast too. But I remember watching that episode and thinking, this is so fascinating because this family seems insane. And
what's so wild to me, I mean, obviously the whole story is like, really, it's a made for TV movie. I mean, it's what you see on Lifetime, right? But what's so crazy to me and it's so upsetting is they had it all. Other than the fact that the grandkids weren't in the town. What city did the Adelsons live in Florida?
In like Coral Springs.
Like in a nicer area.
Yeah,
so other than the fact that the grandkids lived in Tallahassee and they wanted them to live in Coral Springs, other than that, they had everything.
I know.
And they threw it all away.
I was at a bat mitzvah this weekend, and I
Yeah.
started talking about how I was obsessed with this case, and this woman who was standing next to me, her name was Adelson, she said, "Oh, I grew up with Wendy Adelson." And I was like,
Stop.
"What? What?"
Stop.
Yeah, and she just said, "Yeah, seemed like a nice family, but you never know what is going on behind closed doors." And I'm fascinated by dynamics when adults are still seemingly under the control of their aging parents. I mean, it's just fascinating. And by the way, I think that transcends lots of cultures as well.
Well, look, obviously they're Jewish, and as a Jewish person myself, I always think about Jewish mothers have a reputation. Look, we all watched Everybody Loves Raymond, Seinfeld, like all of those shows. There is a reputation about Jewish mothers of like the overbearing,
Yeah.
controlling Jewish mother. And I think there are Jewish mothers that are intensely overbearing, like cannot get out of their children's life, even when their child is an adult, grown up, moved out, etc. And it feels like this was highly the case. I mean, this Donna, sorry, I hate that she has my name, but it's spelled differently. So
I kept
we're
thinking
not
about that
taking,
too. It's the
I
same
know.
thing.
But
Now,
she
I'm
could
pro-
not
I'm Protestant, so I'm absolutely amused by some of this too because we are so different. Like Protestant parents are like, "You're out the door. See you later." Like it's
get
your
out.
life, it's your problem. So since it's so dissimilar to my family, I think that's the added part that I find absolutely fascinating. And also the siblings, how you have those two siblings that seem codependent. And then I've referred to Rob, the oldest brother, as like the Marilyn Munster of the family, where he's so disinterested in having anything to do with them.
I know. And I was just listening to Over My Dead Body, which is the
Mhm.
podcast episodes that covered it, but it was done in 2019. So it's even before the first trial.
Yeah.
And and they interview Rob, that's the older brother, and his wife, Halitha or something like that. I can't remember her name. And he was really like ostracized from his family because he was not,
Mhm.
he didn't want to go along with like being a bad kid. He just wanted, they called him Honest Abe.
I
Growing
know.
up.
Can you
He was
imagine
like the
that?
good kid.
Like, "Oh, there's Abe, always going with the rules." Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Debbie says, I think it's ethnic moms more than just Jewish. Like Italian moms are controlling. Catholic moms tend to sometimes be really controlling. I wonder if that happens a lot of times in Asian culture as well.
Probably.
Yeah, like you see it in the movies, right? You see it in TV
Mhm.
shows and movies. And there's all these like TLC shows and
Mhm.
where it's very hard for men to introduce their moms to their new wives or their
I know.
potential new wives because the mother-in-law, whatever. But this is just really interesting. I come from a family where my mom was very accepting of my yeah, she's not my mom was not overbearing at all in that way. Although I'm really going to throw my mom under the bus right now. At my sister's wedding in 2006, my mom was so funny. We all laughed, ha 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 ha. But now, if God forbid something happens, this could be used against her in trial. Um, at my sister's wedding, my mom made a speech that said to my sister, "If you ever, if you ever need me to, I will help you bury the body." Something like a joke like that, and everyone's like, "Ha ha ha!" ha.
Then
But God forbid,
it's on the Dateline episode in 2 years, yes.
God forbid, this would be used against her.
Yeah.
This is, yeah. I mean, it really is something. This whole story, the Adelson trial, is something that you could feel like would only be a scripted movie. That's why
Mhm.
it's so fascinating.
Well, the
It's just
best
like,
part is the brother gets convicted, and then they get caught at the airport trying to go to Vietnam because they're without extradition laws that would send them back to the US. So had they come about 30 minutes later, we would have been filming some sort of doc series trying to follow this couple in Vietnam. Probably filming Wendy visiting with her kids. Unbelievable.
I think that was also one of the most fascinating videos ever. And if you guys haven't really followed this Adelson story, the Donna Adelson trial and Dan Markel, there's so many podcasts, so many videos, so many YouTubes that you can follow. Right now, what I did was I listened to Over My Dead Body, which is the original story of
Yep.
the hitman and the murder. It's a very good kind of like it fills you in. And then what you can do is just kind of like, you can just YouTube it. Like Kate had a lawyer on last week that's very recent. But I YouTubed, I think it was on Law and Crime or something, the actual video of Donna Adelson getting arrested, and it's
Oh, I
body
love that.
cam footage.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And you see the police going up to her. I think this was 3 years ago or 2 years ago, 2023, I
2023,
think.
November of
Yeah.
2023.
And this woman, I mean, she's 70 some years old, and she's acting so deer in headlights. Like, what?
Yep.
What? No. And she's so worried about her 80-year-old husband. How will he get home without me? I mean, you guys planned a murder.
I know. But there is question whether Harvey even knew what was going on. Because the more that you kind of dig into the case, he does seem to be like just like an aimless person. Like just they would just leave him out of stuff. So
Harvey's the dad,
Harvey's
the
the husband,
like
the
the
dad. Yeah.
patriarch.
And the way that Rob has kind of described him as he's just very easygoing and quiet and unassuming. And then she's like the bulldozer, the mother.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that is an interesting case that we're kind of all deep diving right now. But the trial will be over fairly soon because the prosecution is already rested. Defense is putting on their case right now, and they're doing a horrendous job.
Well, they don't have much to work with. But this, I think what most people are going to be interested in is once this is over, will Wendy have charges brought against her? So that's it, the story just continues. Also, the other thing I keep thinking about is her sons probably are teenagers now. So
they're like 18, 19.
Yeah, so they're probably going to go off to college. And can you imagine you get this roommate and you're like, okay, so what's your story? And whether you find it out the first day or you start Googling the parents a little bit later, you're going to be like, what is going on?
Okay, this is a joke that I always, like a thing that I always go back and forth with my friend Molly Dare.
Oh, yeah.
We always say, which kids tell-all books are we waiting to read? Okay, so we want to read Bryn Hoppy.
Oh,
that's
for
the
sure.
tell-all book that we're dying to read.
Mhm.
Now we're already adding, who else is tell-all? We want to read Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, one of their kids. Well, I don't know if it's going to be Inez or
It's
I don't
gonna
know,
be, I mean, they've got four,
James.
so there's going to be at least one who is like
Betty. It's got to be Betty.
ready to write it. Yeah. I mean, I've said to my kids, I'll write you the foreword to the tell-all. I know mine's going to come out too. I think the one we really want to read is Surrey Cruise.
Surrey. She's ready to go.
Yeah,
she's ready to write. She's already. I feel like, but I'm really
because the
dying.
NDA doesn't affect her, right?
Oh, Tom Cruise's? No, I don't know.
No. Like
okay, I'm interested in Surrey's. I'm definitely interested in Betty because, Betty Booze, Betty Buzz, all of it was named after her. And she's going to hold all the stories because she was the one that really lost Taylor Swift in the divorce, right?
Does she get any kickback with the use of her name?
Probably not.
It's weird.
Yeah. Then I also am very interested in reading the tell-all of, now I really want to read the tell-all, and we're going to get into Kelley Wolf, but Kelley Wolf's kids. Oh, my God.
Oh.
I don't want to. Oh, that's going to be a sad one, but we're going to get there. I want to get a tell-all. We've already heard so many from the Sister Wives kids, but I feel like Truly needs to write a tell-all.
It's good. You know what? I want Logan, the oldest.
Logan.
He's
a nice
one.
one.
The most measured, the most disinterested in fame. That's the one I want to read.
Yeah. And Justin Baldoni's kid deserves a good little tell-all as well.
Yeah, probably.
What was it like? Going through your dad.
Are these kids little? Because some of those kids won't really remember. Like, you have to get the older kids.
Yeah, this is going to be going on for a while, I think, for him, though. Yeah. We'll have to see. But let's add.
It's going to be like Mommy Dearest, where, some of these celebrity children will get into their 30s and they're going to be like, my parent was a complete monster. You guys had it all wrong.
I know. Well, yeah, Tiffany says in the comments, I would like to read Emily Baldoni's tell-all. That's Justin's wife.
How old? Oh, the wife. That's her name, Emily?
I'm dying to know what she
but
really
it's not going to
thinks.
It's not going to matter unless they get divorced, because it's too hard to write something.
Well, she'll be 100% supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm dying to know what she really thinks about Blake. Well, obviously she despises beyond. She ruined her husband's life.
She didn't
It's
ruin it. I mean, like, I think you don't think he's gonna have any sort of success after this? You think his
well,
career's totally over?
I always go back and forth with Justin and what his life will be like after this. It really, I guess, it just depends on what happens at trial.
Mhm.
I think public opinion will stand with him, but every day it just kind of, and I go back and forth, with my confidence around it because the world is so fickle, and the Hollywood is so
Sure
fickle.
is. Yep.
So I don't know. Um, so
Are you watching Real Housewives of OC, by the way?
I am okay. Let's do a quick Real Housewives of OC coverage.
Okay.
Let's talk about it.
Alright.
I am so disgusted by this season.
Uh-huh. It's dark.
What do you think?
It's super dark. I think that it's surprising to me that they included any of this storyline about someone being roofied, and I've been told it was too hard to not include it, but given all Bravo's looming legal issues, something like this seems like a very dark and murky topic that you would ever want to highlight. And if you go back in time and you watch the Naked Wasted episode, it is seriously disturbing. I think it's hard to say who's in the right because it seems like everyone is lying. But a lot of it, probably their reactions on camera, probably have to do with people outside of the show, meaning outside of the cast, saying, "Okay, now now you're going to face issues with the network." I would assume that they have to have conversations with some sort of general counsel for the network. I don't know. Like, this is so dark. I'm assuming most of them were terrified at some point. Like, I guess this means I'm off the show.
The fact that we're bringing back this Naked Wasted story 14 or however many years later because of Gretchen's re-entry into the show, it just seems like something you would never want to touch in today's like post Me Too era.
Totally.
I don't understand how in the world they would ever want to do this. And then to go back and like make it all about who's talking to who and who's telling who and who's chatting with who. I'm like, what happened to just watching girls on a girls trip?
Also,
And like getting into stupid fights.
The lie detector part was so stupid.
I can't do it.
It's so crazy. Yeah.
So look, do I think that one person is the prime lawyer? I was going to say liar. No, I think that everyone's lied a little bit. And that's the problem, is that there's no one real villain. I think the fact that all of them joined forces against Katie makes everyone feel bad for Katie,
Of course.
which is why Katie, I think, is the prime liar, but she's going to get off as the victim because everyone ganged up on her.
It's just surprising too that, let's say Gretchen did say that, to go and repeat that to anyone. And if this were to happen in anyone's normal life, we would never repeat it because you don't have proof of it. It's so dark and it's without the person's permission. You know what I like? Can you imagine repeating that to someone else without the other person's permission? That's dark too.
It doesn't make any sense. I
Yeah.
couldn't imagine if you and I talked off the record and you were like, Donna, I
Yeah.
got roofied by blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, hold on. First time
Yeah.
ever hanging out with someone. And she happens to run a huge Instagram and is on Sirius XM under my boss.
Mhm.
By the way, do you know Kate Casey? She got roofied by another star of the
Can you
show I'm on.
imagine?
No,
Awful.
it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's awful. So, wow. But
She wanted it to be spread around. Katie wanted the world to know.
Yeah. But
That's the
also,
only reason
like,
you tell.
if Gretchen did say it, why would you want to bring it up if it was this awful? I don't know. The whole thing makes no sense. It's so dark. But they need to change that show. And I've been saying it for years. I live here. I promise you, it is an interesting place to live. It is much more diverse than you would think, given what the cast looks like. And I think that when you don't have new stories, new people, new dynamics, the show gets really stale.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why people really like shows like Real Housewives of Miami, because I think it's a better representation of the city than they represent in Orange County. I don't know. That show needs a lot of changes.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and maybe even leave OC and go down to San Diego.
Yeah.
Like Real Housewives of, like, move it a little bit, like just switch it up a bit, or just make it more of like Real Housewives of a smaller part of Orange County or something. I don't know. It's too, we got to switch it up.
Yeah.
It's not for me.
Agreed.
Not for me.
Agreed.
Okay. I love that. Let's move on to another. I mean, we have so many things. Let's talk about Sister Wives. Now, Sister Wives in general is coming back. Have you seen the trailer for next season?
I don't think I have.
Now, I won't reshare the whole trailer because it's a journey, just like every single other Sister Wives, show, or every single other Sister Wives. I should say show, but it's always so long and drawn out, and every single episode of Sister Wives is always a whole, like, to do. Coyote Pass is mentioned. They go back to season 1, season 2. There's always a long conversation outside on a porch. I mean, it's like, so it's such a, you have to watch it and fast forward.
Inside their house.
I don't know if we'll ever get back into their house.
Is it like a lot of fire pit talk? Because I can't take that anymore.
We will always be at the fire pit. Like, I think they're still in COVID. I don't know.
Have you read the snippets that people are putting out from Christine's book?
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I want to unpack.
Okay, why don't you tell me what you know about in terms of her book, because I just downloaded it on Spotify because I have like the premium, so you can do audiobooks. And I'm starting to listen to it. I wasn't going to, but my friend Jamie is like, it's actually good. And I'm like, come on.
Okay. From what I'm gathering, the biggest thing I think most people are wondering is, are you going to talk about your intimate relationship with Cody? Because the dynamics of all those women, like, what is going on? So what I gather is that, based on what she has said, is that from the beginning, he made it very clear he was repulsed by her. And I would have to think that the reason
That's so sad.
Move forward in this relationship, not only with him, but also obviously with Mary and with Janelle, is because she was predispositioned or brainwashed into thinking that this was normal behavior and a normal family dynamic based on her own family of origin. So we already have a problem here. So she says in the book that the first night, or that they were intimate, so on the honeymoon, I mean, this guy doesn't partake in any foreplay. He just sort of shoves it in, which is of no surprise to anybody who watches the show, because he seems like a completely selfish person. But also, she goes on to say that his modus operandi is he asks them to give him like hour-long massages before they're intimate, and then never repays in any way.
Wait, she has to give him the massage?
Yes. But then,
I always ask for the massage.
But then it's like, okay, can I get it back? And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. And I think he may have even told her, I'm just physically not attracted to you that way. Then also admits that when they lived in that home, which was like 3, bedroom home, I guess, that there are other kids in the room with them, and they were intimate sometimes while the kids were asleep in the same room.
No.
I'm not kidding you. Yep.
I can hardly do that with my dog. Wait, how old were these kids?
I don't know the ages, but it's like, that's an issue.
That's child abuse, isn't it?
Yeah, like, we got a problem here, folks. Also,
you're having sex with your kids in your room. Isn't that illegal?
I think so.
I am dying.
Okay. The other thing is that Robin would ask, or seem to know, information about their level of intimacy, because she would say things like, well, you really should be, giving him more sex, because the whole thing is like, if he doesn't get what he wants, he makes everybody else's life quasi hell. And also, the money that they were getting from the network, according to the book, he was in charge of dispersing. So they don't really know how much is coming in and what's going to what things. But the feeling that you get is, if they ever, and I think she says something like, if we ever made a face or said anything that he didn't like, it affected not only how much time he would spend with them, which would also lead into intimacy, but also how much time he would spend with the children. So basically, making them do certain things in order for the kids to have any time with their father.
Oh
Yeah,
my
this is
God.
let's talk about dark. Yeah. Okay, then she talks about an oxy addiction. She had, I think, a torn meniscus and had surgery. She comes home and he gives her the
This is
pill.
the story that got all the press today.
And she said that she started taking it and she felt like it was the best high. She wasn't somebody prone to taking medications. Like she would just take like ibuprofen or aspirin. So she started taking it and she said it was about a month long. But she said then she went off of it and she still felt like for 6 months she wasn't totally right. So
Mhm.
I don't know enough about treatment after surgery or what the protocols are, but this is what she does say in the book. And she didn't bring it up on camera because she said she wasn't at a place where she felt like she was at a point where she felt good enough to do so. I think this kind of bleeds into other stuff that happens in reality TV right now, where like I'm watching the Chrisley show, the Chrisleys Back to Reality, and
Okay.
now you find out all this kind of other stuff now that they're back and filming, where you just think we sign up to watch these shows. Sign up meaning like as a viewer, like we make this contractual agreement in some ways with the production team and the network and the cast, like, okay, we're here, you're going to benefit from advertising dollars because we are subscribing, we are watching. And then you find out there's all this other stuff that they're not open to. So like the dynamics in the Brown family of the level of intimacy with each wife, how much attention all of the children get, those things are never discussed on the show. And we have back-to-back episodes where they're at a fire pit talking about things that happened 6 years ago and talking in circles. We have to wait for the memoirs to really get to the good of it. And so
Yeah.
that's really frustrating.
Well, it is frustrating, but also like you can understand while you're going through something. Like it's hard to talk about things while you're going through it. Like I
Yeah.
get why she wasn't talking about her oxycodone addiction while she was actively in it. Like I
Mhm.
understand that.
Yeah, but
Um
maybe even after though. But
when was
you know,
it? What
maybe
year?
she was 20
16 or
2016.
something?
Maybe there's a part of it too where he is still. I would love to know. I would love to interview somebody in production of this show. How much control does Cody Brown have over what goes to air? Because if all of these women feel like they can't be themselves, they can't gesticulate or expose certain things about themselves in the show because it would directly affect how much time their children would get with their father, that leads me to believe that he has some sort of control over what is shown on the show.
I mean, look, Tiffany says pill addictions are ramped up in the Mormon housewives community. I know several women that get hooked on pills because they're not allowed to drink, right?
But in the
Um,
Brown family, they did drink. They stopped drinking
but
when
it's really
Robin
interesting
came.
because they didn't drink on the show, and then all of a sudden they drank. Like, so when did that come in? Because I remember
It
it being a
sounds like when
conversation.
Robin came, they stopped doing that, but like they would drink at dinner. And I think he probably wanted to gesticulation. I'm sorry.
Gesticulation. What
Um,
does gesticulation
like
mean?
this, when you gesticulate, you like move your hands around.
Yeah, but when Cody
That's
does it, it does sound dirty because he always
um,
has his gloves on because he gesticulates with his work gloves.
well, when they got the show, I think he wanted to project this image of, like a deeply faithful man, right?
And
And
so he was gesticulating.
yeah, and by the way, like when are we going to dig into the church in which they practiced before cameras showed up? Like, what's going on with that church? What is their belief system? Do they have a history of abuse? Like, none of that stuff ever gets discussed.
Well, the Shit Talk Pod they posted on Instagram a clip of Christine in the time when she was actively addicted to these pills, and she
Oh,
was
good.
doing a cookie
Lisa Caitlin
tasting.
did? Okay.
Okay, yes, Ace and Caitlin when she was doing a cookie tasting for one of the weddings, and she's with Robin. This is when they were still all married and everything
Yeah.
was kumbaya. Let's watch her in her active addiction, and she just seems happy as can be, which is why I think we all loved Christine because she always just seems so happy on the show.
Yeah.
Let's check it out really fast. It says Sister Wives Christine Brown reveals absolutely devastating oxycodone addiction. I didn't feel normal, but this was her during Maddie's wedding cookie tasting.
These do have a secret ingredient. That's why they're so delicious.
A secret ingredient? I tell my kids the secret ingredient is spit.
I mean,
I'm not eating at your house. I'm going to take them home and just put them in my room. We're gonna hide them. I don't remember a lot of the cookie tasting. I really don't. I remember being very relaxing. It was so funny. And then I remember that Christine is off sugar. She's like this. I was not that bad. Oh, yes, you were. Whatever. Yes, you were.
Now, these do have a secret ingredient.
so
I mean, I don't.
Did she blame that on sugar?
I have no idea. I need to watch the whole episode.
Now you think that Cody doesn't go back to Rob and say, "I just gave Christine some pills for her surgery." Like they don't know that she's high. They're probably happy.
Wait, Cody gave her the pills?
Yes, she said. Basically, she's like, "Okay, well, what do I do? What are the instructions?" He's like, "I don't know." So he is supposed to be her advocate, right? You would go with Lance. Like if you had a surgery, Lance would be with you. The doctor would give Lance the pills. You would have some sort of discussion. She's like, I get home, I'm in pain. He's like, well, here are the pills. And she's like, I don't even know what to do with it. Like, what are the instructions? So maybe who knows if she was even taking the correct amount? I don't know. But
that's also abusive.
They talk to each other all the time about Robin and Cody. Robin spends the most time with Cody. They are basically in a monogamous relationship, and he would essentially have affairs on the side when he would have to go over to the other women's homes, which was very rarely.
Yeah, once
when they were in Las Vegas, he was parked in her driveway, but say he was out of town. I'm sure he was basically probably inside because we know he doesn't really do any work. So this has all been ridiculous what's really been going on the side. And the worst part of it is the children received little to no time with their father, and a lot of it was him punishing the wives because they didn't give him enough sex or attention or whatever he wanted.
So, okay, do you think that Robin, this is just my evil mind thinking, and I haven't read the book yet, and I'm listening to it right now. Do you think that there's a world of Robin and Cody let's get Christine in a better mood because she doesn't like us and she's difficult and she's kind of mean to us or whatever. And this is a way that Robin can just be happier always. Yeah? What was the point of giving her all these pills? Uh-oh, I think Kate froze. She's thinking, you guys. Did I freeze or is it Kate? Because she's just closing her eyes and meditating right now.
I think that they're both pretty... I think they're pretty evil. I think that they would do anything to make her look stupid.
Oh my God.
They're like, oh good. She gets off of our back.
I swear. Kate, did you know that you froze for a second? Did you hear me?
No.
Oh my God. It was the funniest thing. I can't wait for you to watch this part back because I asked you a question and then you froze like this.
Like I was on something.
I said, are you meditating? And then I thought maybe you're on pills.
Oh no.
Maybe Cody got to you.
Well, she does say something else that was weird. She said something like the line is, and you can see it, it's in the quote, something about how she's prone to, and I don't remember the phraseology, but she's prone to get addicted to things or something. And then I thought, okay, well, does she mean alcohol too? Have there been other things that she's had dependency on?
Probably love.
I mean, it's
I feel like Christine would be someone that's I'm addicted to love.
But it's just so sad that she stayed in a situation like that where she was treated so poorly. But yeah, then you're like, okay, well, how did she grow up? What made her believe this was a reasonable situation? But I mean, I want to know more about this faith, this church, this organization that they were part of before the cameras came. What's the real story? What is their belief system? Do they have a history of abuse? The fact that they all kind of were in agreement that Cody could do that to each of them, and then Robin comes in and gets as much time as she wants. the worst part, again, I know I've said this 3 times, is that she was in support of him limiting the amount of time with his children based on how much the wives did for him is despicable.
Gross. Gross. I mean, there's so many little snippets that are coming out of this book. Another one is a story about her and Mary saying that her friendship with Mary imploded over 10 cents. She said, Mama Bear came roaring. There's enough that happened and we don't need to dwell on it. She talks about the reason for her fallout. She says that that we've all changed so much, but their final friendship fell apart over their children and 10 cents. She's opening up about a lot. It was about McKelty and 10 cents and candy.
Yeah, the way that she describes it it's hard to understand. It just seems like a petty thing. I think it was probably the last straw, and her probably being pretty forceful in her parenting style with the other kids. And they're just like, they're my kids. You don't treat them that way. We're done. But she also seems to be empathetic that Mary was the first wife. She desperately wanted Cody to love her. And he, like the other wives, like Christine, sort of like throws them to the side. He kind of like, and uses them. I mean, they were the ones working. Like Christine, I think, had like 2 jobs and was pregnant. And I would love to know how much of the time he has been in marriages with all of these women, he's actually made income and worked.
He's a creep. He's the worst. And I'm just going to leave you before we finish the story and move on to the next story. I'm just going to leave you with this one part of the trailer, which every time you guys act badly in the comments, I'm going to play this for you guys, just because this is your punishment. And Kate, the fact that you haven't seen this part of the trailer is shocking, because this needs to be playing in your nightmares.
Okay.
I have this wife. Her name is Robin, and she would never let me do anything naughty, as bad as I want to do it.
Never forget that moment.
You know what's going to be great? He's going to do this toughest challenge show. And those
oh my God, I can't wait.
Those other women are going to be like, who's this loser? Like Gia Giudice is going to be like, huh? Like, cut your hair, weirdo. It's going to be great.
No, he has drama with Chicken Fry. Brianna Chicken Fry.
Good for her. I hope she takes him down.
I hope she punches him.
Well, she's just going to be like, why do you have a television show, first off? And all of these women chose to be with you. For what reason? You're a loser. I can't wait.
I can't wait. Okay, next story. We've got to get into some other stories, and there's so many, and so that's why we're kind of bing, bang, bonging through it. We got to talk. I know that this is a little bit of a tough story for you to talk about, just because you have a personal connection, a friendly connection, but we do have to update on Kelley Wolf and the story, this tragic story about Kelley Wolf. It is such a sad story, and I really want to reiterate, because there's been some talk just on my coverage on the Kelley Wolf story. I want to reiterate for anyone that's here and, interested. I think a lot of people are interested in the story. I was at a party on Sunday night. I can't even remember this weekend. It was a long one. Not a party, a barbecue, like with a bunch of local moms and families. And so many of them know Kelley, either have met her or know her through a mutual friend, because she used to live here in LA and she used to live in Encino. And so many people are friendly with her or friendly with someone that knew her and are just as shocked as we are, because this feels so kind of, I would say, either like close to home or just like, what? I think it scares a lot of women, because it's like, could this happen to me? Or how fast did this come on? Or was this always there and we just didn't know about it? Was this like dormant? According to the police report, which got released last week publicly, so it's not like, it's out there. It's a public police report. It was said that she has been diagnosed with something called schizoaffective disorder. You know a little bit more about this.
Well, I had a stepdad that had schizoaffective disorder. I grew up in a house with someone with that diagnosis. And if that is true, that is what she's been diagnosed with, I can tell you it's just very, very hard to be the people in your life and manage it. And I know Kelley personally, and she's a friend of mine, and she is a wonderful person. And I think that probably the people you were with sort of share in the confusion that I do, because the stories that I see and all of that, it's just not a representation of the person that I know. And I know in talking to her that she hopes to tell her story. And I hope, whatever that may be, that it's on her terms and in a way that is respectful to all parties involved, which includes Scott, who I believe is a really wonderful person too, and her sweet kids. I think it's really hard to know what's happening in someone's life. And I think a part of the reaction that you're hearing, as I said before, is that I think we all kind of are taking a moment and asking, have we checked in with our friends? Do we all kind of know what's going on with them? And I'm confident everything will turn out okay in the end, but it certainly is something I think about all the time. And she's a really great person, and I hope that this is all worked out in some way.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't think anyone that's following the story is hoping for anything but a happy ending here. Like, this is not something that people are. I mean, I can't speak for everyone because there's some sick people out there that have bad hearts. But when I watch the story, you want to see this resolve in a positive way because of the families involved, because of the kids involved, and because I feel in my heart's heart, not because I know him personally, but just because of the stories I've heard about him, that Scott is a loving, good man.
Mhm.
And so from the podcast episodes that I've heard from Kelley's mouth herself, and from the
Mhm.
speeches that I've heard from Kelley's words herself, and the books that she has said herself, she's only said positive things about Scott. So
Yeah, but you
I'm
can go
taking,
back and listen to the episodes she's done on my show, and you can kind of get a window into how her life has been in the last couple of years, or especially. I mean, I've interviewed her about the original Real World. We talked a lot, well, not just on my show, but offline, about the experience of filming the reunion for Real World, which I think is just. I ask everybody to have some empathy too, because you see celebrities and you see their lives and you think they're one way. But for a lot of these reality stars, their lives are forever changed when they participate on a show like this. So have empathy for those that were on shows at a formative time in their life, and then they go back and reunite with them, and how it may bring up feelings of um, confusion and discomfort, and kind of bring things back up to the surface, because like I said, it totally changed the trajectory of their lives. So I guess what I'm saying is that just we can all kind of just wait to see what happens, but that we should all just give everyone in this story some grace and empathy.
no, absolutely. Absolutely. I feel horrible that it's done in such a public manner. You wish more than ever that she didn't have access to that social media account for this reason, because we wouldn't have even known of any of this going on had it not been aired for the public. And I wish more than anything for Scott and for those kids that we didn't know any of it was going on, because that's what created this public interest. That's why there's articles on People and Us, and TMZ and whatever, is because of the
Can
social
you
media
imagine when we
access.
were growing up, if the people, I mean, my own family, we would have been on YouTube and Reddit, like people like knew the dynamics of my family. Like I'm grateful I didn't have that, you know.
Well, you can choose,
It's
obviously, whether or not there's a lot going on in my personal family that I never air, right? Like and
No,
you
I mean,
too.
I know, but I mean, for the children that we have are now living in a time where there's easier access to people's stories. People can be filmed, people can post, people can make judgments on Reddit threads. We did not grow up with that. And a lot of people place comments in sections of the internet or on YouTube, and they walk away from it. But there are people who are involved in the story who can read those and see those years afterward and are still trying to process it. And that I have empathy for people that this happens to, because God, I can't even imagine if that had happened to me at the same time.
Well, the internet lives forever. That's the scary part, is we don't know what the ramifications are going to be for these kids that had a traumatic thing be recorded on camera for the world to see and have to live with that 40, 50 years on.
Yeah, I saw something last week about how they looked at brain scans of children that have been through traumatic situations, and the brain scans are similar to somebody who had gone off to war.
Oh, yeah. Well, like I have something that like, okay, we all have that traumatic experience with our parents, right? And maybe not everyone, right? Some people have a really nice, perfect childhood. Not perfect, but like a very trauma-free
Joyful.
childhood.
Yeah.
And I have a very, very traumatic experience that I'll never forget when I was 6 years old with my dad and my mom. Very, very traumatic, where I was kicked out of my dad's home, like onto PCH, drinking alcohol, very scary. And it's ingrained in my memory, my 6-year-old memory, but there's no video footage of it. I have no idea what it actually looked like. So I just create my memory.
Yeah.
But imagine if there was a video of it and I could see it being played back. Like that's crazy for anyone that has to go through that.
For you and say,
For you.
Tell me what you were thinking in this moment.
And there's like other people's opinions on it.
Yeah.
So I am interested about this. If she actually is diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, which is what what the police report says that she was, and you say you experienced this in your own home growing up. Is there a treatment? What is the treatment? What do you know about it? Do you know?
Well, it's essentially like schizophrenia with a mood disorder added. So schizophrenia, you have, and I don't know if she has this. I know the police report says that, but
this is just according to what the police report says.
Unless someone tells me this is what I've been diagnosed with, I have no idea.
Okay.
But I can only speak to my stepfather having it and my experience growing up, and there was no treatment for it. And so, and there are other circumstances that I think can make it worse. But there's a belief on my mom's part that it was triggered by a traumatic event when he was going through basic training in the military. And so it was like dormant basically, and then it triggered it. And like I said, it's schizophrenia with a mood disorder on top. So when people have someone in their life who is bipolar, it's like walking on eggshells sometimes. Bipolar that's unmedicated or untreated, right? But with schizoaffective disorder, it's truly, you have no idea what's going to happen moment to moment. And I can say for me as a child, it was enormously stressful. And then I was sent off to a boarding school for underprivileged children when I was 14 that my mom found, called the Milne Hershey School. And that was the first moment I ever had any sense of freedom and peace. Because when I was at home, I just didn't know what to expect. Sometimes he would come home and he would be lovely. Sometimes he would be screaming. I remember I got in a car accident first day I drove a car. And it was like right around the corner from my house. And I thought, this is it. I am going to, like, it's it. Like, I'm going to be ripped to shreds. And it was so weird because he drove up to the scene. It was right around the corner from my house. And he was like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. And I was so it kind of just gives you like a window into, you just don't know what to expect.
Yeah. I had a boss like that. I remember you literally didn't know what you were going to get on a day to day, but he was also taking medication, pills. I shouldn't call it medication. He was taking pills. And so let's talk about adding substances to this, because obviously there's drinking involved here. We've seen alcohol in the videos. There can't be any good from adding alcohol and substances to these disorders. Like you have to accept that is going to triple like
probably. But a big part of schizoaffective disorder is that you have hallucinations and like delusions of grandeur. So in my case, my stepdad told everybody that he was a Korean War hero, that he was one of the first Navy SEALs. And I always could tell as a kid, there's no shock. I work in the documentary kind of adjacent field now. I always felt like this story does not add up. And every time I would talk to my mom about it, she would kind of blow it off. And then I started dating a guy in the military. And my stepfather would tell him about his war stories. And he was like, that doesn't add up. And then he started investigating it. And that was my mom's first realization. Oh my God, this has all been fabricated. But I learned as a kid too, how to mitigate his outbursts by leaning into a story. So when he would tell me the war hero stories, even though I knew that they were clearly made up, I would feed into it. Oh my gosh, how did that make you feel? And when you saved all those people, I had to do that because it would mitigate the yelling and the screaming. It would like calm him down.
And would he continue on the same story for always, or would his delusions or his hallucinations change?
No,
or were they always the same?
They were pretty consistent. Like I remember being I think I was about 8 years old, and he told me that he was in a submarine and everyone died around him. But I was like 8, and he said they were bleeding out of their nose and their eyes and their ears, and I just watched all my men die in front of me. Like that's totally inappropriate to say to an 8-year-old, by the way.
Totally.
But it was like over the top. And my mom, I think she was compartmentalizing for many reasons, didn't want to believe it. But you can only imagine when he probably told those stories to people out in the real world, they're probably like, how did you live? You lived, but everybody died. But that's why, they find their audiences, people, and they, a lot of people just cut him out of their lives because like, I can't stand this. Like this guy, he's like insane. But if you're stuck in a house with somebody, you don't have an escape. But they were always over the top. Like, where are your medals then? If you're this war hero. So what happened was my mom, when he died, he eventually died. And she sent away the paperwork for the military paperwork so she could start getting some of the benefits. And she received the paperwork, and it said that he had been released from basic training because he had shown signs of schizoaffective disorder. So he had gone through basic training and did like a little bit of like some of the swimming project, but they let him go. And I think that, and what my mom thinks too, is that something must have happened, some sort of diving experience, something happened where he must have just like flipped out, and they took him to a psychiatric hospital. And they were like, there's no way that we could have this person with a gun.
Yeah.
Control of people. Like he's unpredictable. So
and
he left.
How old was he at that time? Like in his 20s?
Yeah, no, it was like early 20s. Now they do say with schizophrenia, I don't know if it's the same with schizoaffective disorder, but typically it happens with men, and it's like I think it's like 18 to 22, but there's something that triggers it.
So it's so interesting because I used to have such a fear of schizophrenia. I'm not joking. Not of other people with it, but of me getting it when I was a teen. I used to like I think I watched like a movie about it, and then I was a documentary or something, and I was like waiting until I passed that window. I'm not joking. Yeah. I had like major hypochondria.
It happens more to men though.
Well, yeah, but I didn't care. Like I just was sure that I was going to get it. Like I was just, so I think this whole thing is like freaking a lot of people out. Like, is this something that a woman can just wake up one day and all of a sudden wake up and then be like Kelley Wolf?
I get it.
Lose everything.
You're like, you see this picture and you say, this looks like a happy family, and now it's unraveling. And I think innately people are good. I do. Yeah. And I think most people are probably watching and saying, they're the same way people watch documentaries. I think people are or reality shows, you're just trying to kind of assess behaviors and see unravel what happened and how to fix the problem. I think women in particular like reality shows for that reason. Like, what's really going on here, and how can we fix the problem? Because sometimes we can't fix the problems that exist in our own lives and our own families, that it sometimes seems easier if we can do that for somebody else.
It's just so hard to see someone that is not able to recognize that they need help, because she clearly is pushing the people that love her away. And you see this over and over, right? You see that she is in her own words saying, like, this person, like, she's literally sharing messages from her sister-in-law and stuff that are saying, I love you, we want to help you. And she's saying F you, basically, or her dad, her mom, Scott, this. And how does someone help someone that doesn't recognize that they need help? That is the hardest part about this. And it's like, when does that end? Until when? Clearly she got arrested because of the internet usage and the Instagram. And then now I just saw over the weekend that now she's not allowed to contact her kids. She has a new restraining order where she has to stay 300 feet away from her ex. She has absolutely no contact now with her family, whereas she did last week, or when she, did that live stream. And there's rumors that she is on Instagram under other accounts. Like, I don't know what the next steps are for someone like that. And it's really, really horrible for anyone that cares about her. Like I said, I don't have a personal relationship. You do, and many people do. And it's got to be so hard to watch this.
Mm-hmm.
Where does it go from there?
I don't know. I think everyone just really wants the best for her and for her family. And I have to believe that if enough people put that out into the world, feeling of goodness and support and love, that ultimately it may help. I don't know.
Did she talk about her mental health on The Real World? Do you remember? Because a lot of people were saying that in the comments, that she did talk about her mental health on the original and the reunion.
I don't remember the original, but on the reunion she did. And this is what I'm telling you, is that a lot of them, for that particular, I interviewed almost all of the people that participated on that Real World New Orleans reunion. And I just found all of the interviews that I did to be really interesting. They all were really open about how they struggled in the aftermath of the original show. And then I think it was a bit of a head trip in some ways to get back together and to be in that dynamic again. And just, I kind of think, looking back at their experiences at that seminal part of their life, like, how would things have been different if they had never been on a TV show? Because it affected them all in different ways. That was why I originally started my podcast 9 years ago, was I wanted to track down people who had been on reality shows to see how it changed their life. And I began by going back to a lot of the original Real World people.
That's how I remember your show started.
Yeah.
That's when I started listening. Yeah.
And it was all, and I remember the Eric Nice one. And
dude, Eric Nice is a problem though, because I think he's part of this.
Well, they were all kind of they were all very, very honest, to the point where I was like, and I think we're going to have a wave of that. I'm seeing that again in the Chrisleys show now, where it's been, when you go back years after, you're going to get the most authentic version of who that person really is. It's not in the moment of filming or just like a year after, because they're so sucked into the fame with like Tornado. But Eric Nice was telling me he was sexually abused, that he had been ripped off by a manager. I mean, he was really going through it, and he had moved to Hawaii. And I think he's really tried to create this space in which he works in the wellness area. And I think that's a byproduct of trying to figure out who you are when you are on television as a 20-year-old, and the rest of the world is telling you who you are, what your character is, what your archetype is. I think it's much harder than people realize. And I think we're going to see a lot of people come forward in the next 10 years and say, like these housewives, I think in the next 10 years are going to go, maybe this was a huge mistake.
I'm sure so many of their lives are going to be completely obliterated through this reality journey. But Eric Nies is Kelley was talking about him a lot.
Kelley has always really loved wellness stuff. I mean, she has pursued like a master's in psychology. She's always been kind of interested in that stuff.
I mean, Kelley's very smart. One thing I noticed about Kelley Wolf is that she is incredibly smart and incredibly well-spoken. And I think that's also very confusing when she was talking, through all of this, it's like she's so together and she's so smart, which is also a little bit of a mental, like it fucks with you when you're watching it, you know? But Eric is like also, if you watch Eric Nice, I mean, some of the stuff that he talks about is like it's almost like he's speaking a different language. Look, I don't want to judge or anything, but it's like I don't even understand half the things he says, to be honest. His name is Eric Sisu Nice Karel. He's obviously like totally off the grid in terms of what he used to be in the MTV landscape, right?
But when you're talking to him, he doesn't come across as like losing his mind, or like he doesn't come across. He just seems like somebody who feels like that part of the world feels like a better fit to him, and that he wants to spend the rest of his life really helping people in a way that's probably unconventional, and it may work for some people and for others maybe not. But I just remember talking to him and thinking, gosh, this man has been through so much and he really needs some space to still unravel it, and it has taken like a long time, but maybe he needs it.
At the same time, it worried me a little bit when Kelley kept saying that she was going to him for help, because I know he's big in like the non-traditional medicine, and like
a part of it could be too is that when they do the real worlds where they reunite, like they really kind of cling to one another in a way, because the bond is so hard for them to find people that really understand what they've been through. Yeah. So Eric has been on a TV show, and he became famous, much more famous than she probably was, because the real world, the first season was like a mega hit. And he was a model, and he was, really well known, but maybe there's a part of her that feels like, well, he's going to get me more than other people will. Yeah. Sometimes I think most people just want someone who can be a great listener, and there's just on a cellular level, they kind of understand. And so listen and understand.
Yeah, I totally get it. And I mean, we'll keep watching the story. I just wanted to be I thought it was a really good idea for you and I to have that conversation. You're so sensitive about these things. You're definitely you're coming from a place of good. Kate, if you guys don't know Kate Casey, Kate has a very, very, I guess you don't come at any of these stories from like a gossipy, salacious way. You come from it as like a listening person. You want to learn, you want to get into the people's brains, but you're also coming from it like as a hand holder. I don't know how to explain it. And I know you're coming from it like from a caring place for Kelley, for Scott, for the kids, and just in general, like as an advocate.
Well, thank you for saying that. I really do think that we all should spend more time listening to each other, because we get it wrong a lot when we don't do that. And there is an origin story that sort of sets the tone for the way in which someone goes through life. And sometimes learning the backstory, most times hearing the backstory, I think puts the pieces together. Like, that's why we are where we are. That's the way they think. And it, like, even with politics, I always try to tell people, I try to spend more time understanding someone's ideology. And when I do that, then I have a better understanding of the way in which they think, and I take things less personally. So it's kind of like that with a lot of these reality stars and people that are featured in a documentary. I try to approach it from where have they been and where are they now, and allowing them to like tell their story so that I have a better understanding. It's just so easy to make a judgment, but until we really kind of have more context, I think a lot of times we get it wrong.
Yeah. Well, I love that.
Like even with Britney Spears, if it would make sense to me if she would want to talk to somebody who was a pop star of the 90s.
Yeah.
Because she'd be like, you get it. You have been there. You get it. She wants to talk to somebody like Aubrey O'Day, because Aubrey O'Day understands it in a way that we can't, or they may think we can't.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's so interesting. We'll keep following the Kelley story. Hopefully, we're going to get a little bit of a turn of events here in a positive way. But I appreciate your sensitivity talking about it. And yes, people are asking where to find Kelley. We're going to keep talking about some more stuff. But I mean, not Kelley, Kate. Kate Casey is every day. She has Reality Life with Kate Casey on YouTube and the podcast, anywhere you listen to your podcast. And she interviews so many people, so many producers, directors, stars, and different podcasters, just covering so many different topics, especially like really interesting documentaries. She's the person to go to if you ever want to like find something to watch. She always has really great lists.
And I put that list out every week. I put out a list of what to watch in unscripted TV, and you can get it at katecasey.substack.com.
Yes.
So every Monday, easy.
Speaking of, so let's go through a couple more topics. Chrisleys. You said that last night you watched the Chrisleys, or this weekend you watched the Chrisleys.
Yeah,
I don't watch it. Why is it so good right now?
I'm really fascinated by this family. So before people scream at me and say they did that, I get it. I'm not discounting that. I think where they are right now in their lives is fascinating. Of course, the couple, Todd and Julie Chrisley, received convictions for bank and wire fraud and tax evasion. And he was supposed to have a 12-year sentence. Hers, I think, was supposed to be 7. They were pardoned. And where we are finding them right now is what their lives are like post-prison. So I started listening to their podcast, and I found them to be pretty transparent, surprisingly, about the realities of prison. And they want to do quite a bit with prison reform, but also like getting acclimated back into life. And I think maybe part of the reason that fascinates me is having lived in a military town and listening to military people talk about going on deployment and then getting acclimated back in their life. I just thought that to be so difficult. Like a Navy SEAL neighbor dad would say, I come back and my kids don't listen to me because kids are like, where have you been? Or like reacclimating to your marriage. So I started listening for that reason. And then I started watching their show to just kind of get a peek in. And where you find them at the beginning, these first 2 episodes of the season, is what was happening in their home while they're in prison. So, and you thought watching the show for some of the earlier seasons that the whole family, like, it's like the Brady Bunch. Everybody gets along really well. No. So the first episode last night, I find out Savannah and Chase have a terrible relationship. She feels like she's worked hard to get her parents out of prison. He's been of no emotional.
Savannah and Chase are brother sister, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
A younger brother named Grayson, and Grayson, he seems to be super wise, and he's only like 19 years old. I think he's like on the dean's list at University of Alabama, like a good kid. And then there's the granddaughter who calls them mom and dad, and her name's Chloe, and she's probably one of my kids' ages. I don't know, like 10 or something.
Okay.
But the 2 predominant siblings that were featured in spinoffs on the show, Savannah and Chase, do not get along. Moreover, Julie's parents have been living with Chase because Julie provided a home for them, but then she's in prison without the income. They have moved in with Chase. Todd's mother, Faye, who's been on the show, she's really funny. She's been helping Savannah with raising Chloe. So it's like 2 factions in the family, and you see them get together for a dinner, and you see that Savannah can't stand her grandfather, Julie's father.
Oh my God.
All of these like unspoken fights that have been going on for years, and then they're brought together and it all comes out. So it's like the juxtaposition of seeing the earlier shows, which are really campy and they're 22 minutes, and there's always like, the problem at the beginning of the episode that's figured out by the end of it. And you assumed this family all gets along really well. And it's pretty jaw-dropping. And they're really surprisingly transparent about all the family dynamics and the effects of their parents' prison term.
Wow.
So if you like documentaries, like that's a fascinating one to watch in real time.
And you think we can jump in just this season? We don't need to like.
You don't need. No. Just jump in now. Yeah.
Okay. And this is on Lifetime?
It's on Lifetime, and it's really
Where do we watch Lifetime?
It's done by Julie Peasy at Boone and Murray and Farnaz.
That's Boone and Murray is like
yeah,
MTV. Speaking of Real World,
like Kardashians. I mean, it's funny. The Chrisleys were always considered the Kardashians of the South. Oh my God. I just didn't, it is not like one of those shows where it's like, haha, great one-liners. It is like, I don't know. It's heavy. It's heavy.
interesting. Okay.
I couldn't stop watching.
Okay, well, I'm definitely going to watch it. Like, I could totally use a new reality show right now. I have nothing going on.
You are fried from Real Housewives. Watch that.
I am.
Yeah.
Bored. Okay, speaking of what to watch, I could not believe this unknown number on Netflix. What the hell was that?
Okay, so if people aren't familiar with this story, Beale City, Michigan is in central Michigan. It's like a sleepy town. You've got one intersection, two pubs. That's it. There's one
intersection, two pubs.
That's it. There's one school. The people who live there have lived there forever. Like the guy that was the football star still lives in town. It's one of those things. So you've got two families. You have the McKennies, and they have a couple kids, and the father was a sports star and the mom's super involved in school. And then you have the Licaris, and the mom is originally from Detroit, so she's sort of an outsider, and she met her husband in college, and now they all live in this town, and they have one child, and that daughter started dating the son, Owen McKenney, when they were in the 7th grade. And the one mom, Kendra, so Lauren's mom, is a coach at the school and just alarmingly too involved in her daughter's life, and is perceived as like the cool mom. And she's like in on the gossip, like wants to know what's going on in all the relationships, which to me is a red flag, but to each their own.
Yeah.
So find out from the story is that in January of 2022.
Oh, by the way, are we doing spoilers here? Should we tell people it's a spoiler?
No, I'm not going to spoil anything.
Okay, no spoilers. This is just setting you up for you to watch.
So where you're going to find yourself at the beginning of this story is that the two parents of Lauren and Owen meet in the principal's office because both of those children are getting an onslaught of texts, in upwards of 30 to 50 text messages a day, and they are vicious. They are nasty. So the documentary is about these two families, the children, and how they were affected by it. And by the end of it uncovers who is the person behind those texts.
Yeah.
It is a shocking story. I think it is the ultimate for me is if a documentary or a show is like a conversation starter. Like, you can't stop talking about it. You want to text your friends. You want to talk about it at dinner. This is one of those. And
here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to give you guys a chance. It's Tuesday right now, Tuesday the 2nd. I'm going to give everyone a chance to watch it. I say by Thursday or Friday of this week, I'm going to talk about it because I'm going to give you guys a couple days to talk about it. I am not joking you when I tell you, and I really think you need to go into this spoiler free. You need to not read about it. Yeah. You need to not have any idea what's going on because it's such a twist. Like, it's a twist in a way that you wouldn't have expected it. Mm-hmm. When you hear about high school drama, you assume what high school drama leads to, but it's a twist that you wouldn't expect. And it's so, it's just so gross, really, in reality of what it comes down to. And I want to get into it. So watch it. And what's surprising to me is how many, when I posted about, all I did was post a picture of it on my stories and just said OMG, and how many DMs I got about it, and how many people said to me and my high schooler watched it. And I was thinking, wow, a lot of people let their high schoolers watch it with them.
Oh, yeah. I think it's a great idea to do it. Because
do you think my 12-year-old's too young, though? I feel like my 12-year-old's too young. Really?
Actually, some of the language, maybe. Yeah, because some of those texts are kind of
but my 12-year-old can handle the language. I'm just thinking, like, just
I think it's a conversation starter because it shows you the power of words and how children who do not have a fully developed prefrontal cortex and don't understand a cause and effect, how important it is to be responsible about the words you use and how you communicate.
And how much like texting and bullying and stuff can really F up your life. Like we have to be so careful as well, I should say as parents, but just as people and human beings. And this goes for even just comments online and going back to like the Kelley Wolf of it all also, but like just comments online about how sensitive we have to be towards people are reading what we're writing. People are reading what we're saying. People are reading what you're commenting. People are reading what is on Reddit. Right. So, yeah, it's real
one
bad.
other thing, if somebody is interested in the family dynamics that we touched on with the Chrisleys, and there was another, Sister Wives, etc. There is another 3-part doc series about the Judd family, the sisters. Naomi.
I still haven't watched it because I don't know where to find it.
I told you that you need
Yes,
to
but
watch
where
it.
the
You
heck?
can watch it on Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, that is one where you're like, holy shit. There's a lot of moving parts to that one too.
They
I
have
just
a really.
think, what did we say at the beginning of this episode? We said complicated family dynamics transcend race, culture, faith. It's the one thing that we can all agree happens in everybody's lives is at some point you have a complicated family dynamic, whether it's your family of origin or the family that you marry into or you're dating into. You have to navigate difficult relationships and learn games play, right, on how to handle other people's family dynamics. That's why these stories are endlessly fascinating.
They really are. Everyone always says like, I mean, if someone said to you right now, what is the most like documentary that sticks with you? Always. If they asked you, Kate, like what is the documentary that you'll always remember and think about?
Probably The Keepers, which is a 6-part Netflix doc series, which begins with the story of Sister Kathy Sesnick, who was a nun who worked at Archbishop Keough High School, which is no longer in existence, but it was a girls' Catholic high school in Baltimore. And you learn that there were a bunch of girls who went to that school who were assaulted by members of the staff, which included clergy members. And it's attached to the disappearance of this nun who disappeared in 1969. And by the end of it, you're realizing that she was probably a whistleblower, and she was about to uncover a story involving members of the clergy, police officers, the archdiocese in Baltimore in the late 60s and early 70s. And every episode is jaw-dropping, and you marvel at the strength of the women that have come forward, and also I think it's a real love story. It's like a love letter to nuns who work so tirelessly, often without recognition, who are so important to the lives of children. And this is a story about a bunch of women older in years who had a beloved teacher that disappeared and was found murdered, and their tireless pursuit of justice in her name. And I think that one probably stayed. Also, my aunt had been a nun in an order that was similar to it. She was with the Sisters of Notre Dame de Namur. This is about the Sisters of Notre Dame. So that one stays with me. And every time I recommend that to someone, they kind of come back to me and say, that's a lot to process. But 2 other quick ones I will tell you. Both of them are on Netflix. Wild Wild Country, which is about a cult in the 1980s in Oregon. And then the other one is, if you like a real mystery, is called Vatican Girl. And that is a girl that disappeared from Vatican City in the 80s. She had a flute lesson and she disappeared, and it unravels the story that involves the Catholic Church. And there's reason to believe, much like the Amy Bradley story, that maybe this young girl is still alive. And that
you love a Vatican story.
I love a Vatican story. I do.
I love what documentary I always think about is the 3 brothers, the 3 identical brothers.
Yeah.
I love that. But I love a music documentary, and I will never forget the Billy Joel documentary. Those 5 hours were some of my favorite 5 hours of my life.
Did you watch?
I don't know why.
Did you watch the Avicii one?
The Avicii documentary was
That
so
was
good.
really good. That one was great. The Bee Gees on HBO.
I didn't watch that, but I loved the Dixie Chicks documentary from like 10, 15 years ago.
Yes.
One of my favorites.
The Dolly Parton one on Amazon Prime.
I need to watch that. I'm gonna really embarrass myself right now. The Justin Bieber documentary when he was like 14 is one of my favorite documentaries.
Boy, that's somebody that like lives in my heart every day. I worry about him.
I love him.
I worry about him all the time.
Me too.
And then another good one is the Wham one.
Really?
Oh yeah. The George Michael story, I think, is a really good one.
I could watch documentaries from morning till night. I hear Hell or High Water, the Katrina story is really, really devastating to watch.
Heavy. Yeah.
Did you watch it?
I
Not
haven't,
yet?
but everyone tells me it's heavy.
I know. I almost don't want to relive that time.
I know. I have to like kind of weave in and out. I just watched the one and I interviewed the producer and director of the Jody Hildebrandt, Ruby Franke one. So that's my episode today. And so
Ooh.
that's 3 or 4 episodes.
Is it going to be like telling of anything that we
It's
already
more,
know?
It's more an exploration of Jody, like how she
Oh.
built her business and the damage she did to the families and what their weird connection was. That's a doozy and a half. And then there's another one. Oh, did you watch the Mariska Hargitay one yet?
Oh,
That one was really good too.
So much.
too.
I loved it so much.
I like any of these stories about women of that time. Like the Natalie Wood one on HBO is an absolute must watch too, because
I think I need to watch that.
that's one of those people where I think kind of like JFK too, where somebody died and I'm like, they were just on the cusp of like really hitting their stride. I feel like Natalie Wood would have run movie studios.
Wow.
She was so important to so many actors. Like Robert Redford has said she's responsible for his career. She fought for him to get roles. And there was this part of it in the HBO documentary, I really highly recommend it, where her daughter got access to this article she had written that was going to be in a magazine, but it was never published, where she talks about being assaulted as a young actor. She started acting when she was a young girl. She had, just like the world that you used to be in, like parents that were very domineering. And you just think before the Me Too era, what she endured, and had she lived through the Me Too era, what she would have highlighted about actresses in that period of time and what they went through.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm fascinated by that.
It's really interesting. Yeah, really old Hollywood. I love it. I could do this forever and just talk about this. Just to bring it back, because she's on the cover of my YouTube photo here. Karen Huger is out of prison.
I know.
Breaking news. 6 months.
Again, another story I'm interested in. Like if Jen Shaw, when she gets out, I want to know what happens to somebody after they are released from prison. How do they live their life? I do respect the Chrisleys for being so open about discrimination that occurs in the prison system. I'll be interested to hear what Karen says. I know there's a period of time where they have to process, but it'll be interesting to see how she may change or has been changed because of that experience.
Can I tell you my guess? 6 months is not long enough for how drunk she was. Honestly, this woman, I mean, I don't know what the actual rules are around drunk driving, but this woman was blasted out of her damn mind.
Well,
then
what they just told me, they said in their podcast episode that there's a program with the prison system, but it's 9 months for addiction issues. Okay. And then if you go through those 9 months, you get your sentence reduced. But to your point, she's only in 6 months. I don't know if she would have been part of a program like that.
And that was her 4th DUI, I think.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It wasn't a first offense. But also, remember
point.
how in denial she was when she was on the show, and she was pretending like it never happened. She was pretending it didn't. She was avoiding, she was saying it wasn't true. She was pretending it didn't happen until the video came out. We didn't really see the true story. And then the video came out and she was acting horrendously in that video and so drunk. She goes in. 6 months later, she comes out. Cameras are rolling right now in Potomac. She's going to be on the show. You know it's going to go on the next season because ratings.
Yeah.
And I think she's going to walk out. And I mean, I don't think she'll ever drive drunk again, but I can't see that she's a changed woman. 6 months, please.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't see it's going to be like a night and day for Karen Huger.
But interesting to follow. That's going to make me want to go back and check out some of the Real Housewives of Potomac if they cover that.
They will definitely cover it.
Remember when Teresa left prison, that made it interesting for me. I'm like, okay, how does she get acclimated back into life? Like, how does this change her relationships, her relationship with her children and her spouse and her friends, etc.?
It was definitely interesting, but there was much more heart to that story because of her kids and because, the husband then had to go to jail. Like, I don't know. That was like a much more like heart involved story. This feels like, I don't know. She was also so cruel in the arrest video, like with her.
She was very flippant for sure.
And the concubine stories and like, it was like a lot.
Again, like that's someone deep, deep, deep into some real issues.
Yeah. So I'd like to hear a lot of apologies, maybe.
Yeah, 6 months. I would hope that she says, I'm continuing with treatment or therapy or whatever.
Yeah, let's hope there's a little humble.
Yeah.
Kate, wow, that was a 90-minute episode. Thank you so much. We could have talked forever. You guys, everyone needs to go and follow Kate. She is over on every podcast app at Reality Life with Kate Casey. She's on YouTube. Also, you can listen to her episodes. You can watch her. She's on Instagram at
KKCCA. TikTok, it's Kate Casey. Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky at Kate Casey. And on YouTube, it's Reality Life with Kate Casey.
She's everywhere. She has a great Facebook group. Also, you can join to get suggestions. She always comes out with these Substack lists once a week. So katecasey.substack.com.
katecasey.substack.com. And then the Facebook group is Reality Life with Kate Casey.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely suggest you follow her if you're interested in any of these topics. And she really does talk about everything and anything from reality TV, documentaries,
a lot of sports.
Yeah, she always tells you like which big sports documentaries to watch and stuff. She covers it all. So make sure to follow Kate. Kate, I love you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you guys. See you tomorrow on Daily Dose of Donna. Bye.